Welcome in, Falcons fans. Your boy Bryce Willis back at it again for another Atlanta Falcons episode. Today we are doing a bye-week recap, getting ready for Hate Week. You know what I'm saying? Saints coming against the Falcons this week. We got to get ready for it. But we got to recap what's happened during the bye week and just kind of go from there and talk about some of the things, the decisions that have been made from the last video I made about Arthur Smith's status as head coach as the Atlanta Falcons. But, you know, before we get into that, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Bryce_2K on Twitter, Instagram, across all platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Falcons content and Hawks content as well if you're a fan of them. And, you know, yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the biggest thing to come out of the bye week going into their preparation week against the Saints is Desmond Ridder has been announced quarterback one once again for the rest of the year. James Palmer, I think, on Twitter said that basically this benching was more of a reset for Desmond Ridder. He viewed this as they felt like this is going to help him maybe take a step back, reflect, look at some things, and then they were always going to go back to Desmond after the bye week. So I know some people already were not happy about that or felt like that was unnecessary. I feel like that I can see his point of view of let him kind of take a seat and kind of look at things from a backseat perspective before putting him back out there. He's not the first coach who's actually ever done that before with young quarterbacks, so it's not crazy, but I can also see people's point saying, listen, we're trying to win games. If you knew he was going to be QB1 again, why even take him out in the first place? So there's both sides of the argument there that you can talk about and decide why did we do this? Why did we not do that? Et cetera, et cetera. So, and both sides are very understandable and both sides make sense to a certain extent. But, you know, that's the decision they made. So Desmond Ridder is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year. The big thing for Desmond coming into the second half of the year is for him, not only is he playing to try to show everyone that he can be the quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons for years to come, but at the same time, he also was competing to show that he belongs on this roster next year, even if not as a starter. QB2. I don't see them keeping Heineke after this year just because. I mean, I don't know if Ridder is like, listen, Arthur Smith supports Ridder a lot, so if they decided because Ridder plays well down the stretch, let's say the Falcons make the playoffs, they want to go back with Ridder, maybe you keep him for another year as your backup. I don't know. But, you know, Ridder is playing for a lot here. He has to show the fans. He has to show the coaching staff and Arthur Smith especially because he's believing in him. Like, I mean, the thing about this is incredible that Arthur Smith is believing in him and still believes now. Because like they say, they feel like a lot of things that he has struggled with can be corrected and fixed and coached. So they feel like it's not a lack of something that we can't coach up. It's there are things that we can coach up and then he can improve naturally. And then boom, now he's fine. So that's their mindset and thinking on the Desmond Ridder situation and why they maybe have gone this route when it comes to Desmond in terms of just being confident in him moving forward. For me, realistically, I kind of look at it like, you know, Desmond has to show me that maybe this mention has helped him. Maybe, you know, the little short stint of playing time he got against the Cardinals. I mean, he didn't play bad. He didn't do anything bad. Seemed fine, seemed comfortable. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, you know, that was then, this is now. And this is why I always say too, the bye week is the most important week during an NFL season because it's the 1 week as a team that you can actually slow down, get healthy if you have injuries, which the Falcons were starting to pile up injuries before the bye week, but also give yourself an opportunity to reflect. You can reflect on things. That's why some people say early bye weeks, first for health and second, just because after 4 weeks, you know, it's like we're still getting into things. We are just now starting to gear it up another level after seeing what's worked in the and so on and so forth. So the bye week is now a chance for Arthur Smith, especially because obviously, you know, after that Cardinals game, everybody was ready to get rid of Arthur Smith. I thought that maybe that could be the best move, but when we got the report that from Jeff Schultz that Arthur Smith will probably be the coach going into next year. Arthur Blank has normally been a patient owner. I know that's pissed people off because they want a guy who's just going to boom, 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 boom. If he's not producing results, get him out of here immediately. But he is a guy who believes in believing in people, believing in an investment that he made, and seeing if things get rough, if things get tough, if things don't go our way, can we get out of it? Are you capable of getting people back on board? The biggest thing they said, only thing that would probably get him fired earlier is if he lost the locker room and they completely just fall apart, which to me means maybe you win only one more game for the rest of the season. Then you're probably like, all right, yeah. Because you have a worse record than you had the last 2 years with a worse roster. So, that's not a great look on Arthur Smith if that is what actually happens this year. But now they can reflect, take a look at things that they've done wrong. They can look at the usage of guys like Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Offensive line's had some issues in the last 3 weeks, especially during the losing streak. They've struggled. Maybe, you can game plan and talk with David Ragone more about, how can we help? Is there a change that we can make? Because like they say, changes have to happen. You can't come out of this bye week saying we're going to do the same stuff we were doing. We're just hoping that it's fixed and we've coached it up better. It can't be something like that. There has to be something that you're changing and you're doing differently to at least attempt to try to fix the problem. So overall, in that situation, the Falcons have a situation where, they have ability to look at that. Ryan Nielsen gets an opportunity to kind of look at his defense. Okay, what has gone wrong the last 3 weeks? Beginning of the season, we pretty much, we had struggles, but we adjusted. Defense played better. Defense has made some clutch plays. They've kept us in games. Now, last 3 weeks, they've kind of let you down. They haven't been able to hold leads. What has gone wrong there? What is the issue? Is it communication? Is it just the lack of pass rush potentially keeping up? Is it that maybe you need to play Arlen McKetty more at pass rush to get a better pass rush? Obviously, Grady Jarrett was a big loss, so we know that has hurt this team. But at the same time, what is it that they can do maybe defensively, scheme-wise, to help? I mean, listen, you've lost Troy Anderson, you've lost Grady Jarrett. Those are two guys who are very important to what you do. They said Troy might be able to come back, but it's unlikely. I mean, I'm assuming at this point that's still the case. Maybe if they make the playoffs, maybe that could be an opportunity for Troy to get back. I don't know. Depends on what Arthur Smith really wants to do when it comes to that. But overall, that this is a chance for the defense to get back on the same page, and then get themselves playing better. You're going into a week against the Saints coming up where, they're usually a pass-heavy offense, even with Derek Carr or Jameis Winston, whoever the quarterback's going to be. Going into that game, you got guys like Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, guys that you got to worry about. You got to keep an eye on, make sure you're on top of, and get ready for that. Because, the Saints, even though their offense has had many issues this season as well, you don't want to be that game that gets them on track, especially in the game that coming out of this bye week is for first place in the NFC South. And that's the thing too, that, I think is the big thing is that at the end of the day, as a Falcons fan, you want to beat the Saints regardless. So you want these are the two games. The Saints are some of the biggest games you want as W's for this team this year. And if they get this win coming out of the bye week, now they're first place in the South. You expect pretty much. It feels like it's going to be Falcons Saints down the stretch. Tampa might be able to get in there depending on what happens, maybe. But it seems like those are going to be the two teams. And then they play twice in the second half of the year, obviously coming out of the bye week and then later on. So, if you're the Falcons, you're already 2-0 in division play. Beat the Saints, you're 3-0 in division play. That's already exceeding the win total you had last year in division, where I think you only won 2 games, one against the Panthers and then one against Tampa Bay. Because last year you got swept by the Saints, and then you lost one to Tampa and you lost one to Carolina. So, and obviously that's really big. Because I said at the beginning of the season, the Falcons really helped themselves because they got a couple of key wins against guys that potentially could be competing with for the wild card. Now you're in a situation where your path to the playoffs pretty much is not probably going to be wild card. It's going to be you winning the division. So luckily you're in a bad enough division that possibility is there. But it's going to take improved play from all three units. Even special teams has to take this bye week to reflect and think about, okay, what's gone wrong special teams wise? Why have we let up maybe big returns the last couple of weeks? What are the struggles? Is it who we have? Is it personnel? What is, like, you're looking at the details. This is a great week this past week to look at the details and think, what has happened? What did we do early and why is it not working now? So that is also another thing that, I hope that during this bye week, they've taken a chance to reflect and look at, because the biggest thing right now is, like I said, you have too much talent on this team to be struggling as much as they have been struggling. Those losses. I mean, if you think about the losses they had, Tennessee, I get it. They're not a good team. They've only won one game, which was that Falcons game since Will Levis started, and he looked great. The last few games, he's looked fine. Like, he hasn't looked like a world beater like he did against Atlanta. But, I mean, he's looked normal, looked like a rookie, but he hasn't been, like, terrible, Vikings, I mean, they're hot right now. They're winning every game they're playing in. So, and even with the Josh Dobbs situation, even though him not even knowing the playbook was not a good look for you, they're looking like they're competing with Detroit now for the division again. So that technically is not looked at as bad of a loss in terms of the roster. We're just looking at mainly the quarterback was only there for 3 days. And then the Cardinals are probably your worst loss just because they were a one-win team going into that game. Yes, Kyler Murray is back, and yes, that's an upgraded quarterback. But you still, if you are a good team and you expect to be a playoff team, if you're like the Falcons expected to be, you would come into that game and still win. So, like I said, you got to see just what has really gone wrong the last few weeks. Figure it out, reflect. Now you're going into preparation week for the Saints. Implement those changes in practice. Try to get some rhythm going and see if that can help. See if that's going to lead to more success for you as a team. And then we'll have to just see how the Falcons play on Sunday. It's kind of funny. Desmond Ridder a year ago, first start against the Saints at their place. Now coming back after being benched, QB1, back in the same place where it all started. Last year was a loss. This year could be different. I mean, these are all things that it's almost kind of surreal in Desmond's situation in that spot, because now you're coming off a bye again with the team that you had your first start against back in that same building. So hopefully you see improved play. And then when it comes to Arthur Smith in general, biggest thing is hopefully he has taken time to reflect on himself and really look at what has gone wrong. What have I done wrong? What decisions have I made that are hurting my team right now? And be honest with himself and be like, yeah, this isn't working. Because the biggest thing about a person in growth is reflection and understanding this hasn't gone the way I've expected. This hasn't gone as well as I've wanted this to go on. And after taking a look at why, I have a part in that, and I need to change these things about me for the betterment of the entire operation. Hopefully Arthur Smith comes into this week with a renewed mindset of what he has to do. Because listen, he's under pressure. He has to win games. He has to win games. So you're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to make some tough decisions about yourself, whether that is the way you want to call games, whether that's certain usages, whether that's, a trust, maybe having more or less trust in something, all of those things. There's so many details that go into it. But Arthur Smith has to be able to reflect and be like, what do I need to change personally as the head coach to help my team be successful? Because if he can do that, if he can almost reinvent himself mid-season, that could be what saves the Falcons, potentially. But it depends. I'm sure people hearing that probably think there's no way. He's too stubborn, thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And you may very well be true. That is not something that we can throw out the window. But maybe this has been a big humbling point for him. maybe he was extremely humbled by this, and maybe now he'll change, and he'll change some things up, and we'll see a better coach team, and just a better operation and better play on the field from this team. Because that's going to be key if they're really going to make this run. At the end of the day, pull the Falcons schedule here. At the end of the day, this schedule, even though they've shown that no game is an easy game, it's not insane. Like that's the thing about the schedule. It's not an insane schedule where they're in a spot and it's like, whoa, schedule's too tough, they can't win. Let's say you beat the Saints. Now you go back. The Jets, they're gonna be a tough game. I mean, they play pretty hard. Their defense is legit. Zach Wilson, I mean, winnable game, but tough. Tampa, they're obviously gonna be looking not to get swept. Carolina, you would hope if you're that team, you'll beat Carolina and sweep them. Indy's tough. Like none of these games are gimmies to me. The easiest game probably left is Carolina, but in every other game I see on the schedule is a very competitive, like could go down to the wire game. Even the Bears today took Detroit to the limit. So none of these games are going to be easy. None of these games are going to be, gimmies. The Falcons got to go out there and win those games. They got to play effective football, run the football, be able to be effective in the passing game, because that's also been what's hurt this team. It's just sometimes they just are so effective in the passing game, just so ineffective. And then the defense gets back to the way they played earlier in the season, and that will give you a chance to potentially, some people think the magic number to win this division is 9. You're at 4. You beat the Saints, now you're at 5. But you really have to win 5. You have to go 5-2 down the stretch to win this division. Probably. More than likely. Let's say you beat Carolina. So now you gotta beat the Saints again, beat Tampa again, you gotta beat the Bears, Jets, you gotta beat the Saints twice. I mean, if you swept the division, that's 4 games. Actually, that's not bad. Yeah, that's 4 games right there. And then you just gotta win either Jets or Chicago or Indianapolis. But if you don't, you gotta win more of those non-divisional games. So the Falcons control their own destiny right now. It's just a matter of, okay, will they get the job done? That's what it's about. Will they get the job done? If the answer is no, we will see it on the field. Everybody's going to be pissed off. Everybody's going to be calling for his firing again. Arthur Smith. Blank is going to be under a lot of pressure. Big questions going into this season. Who's going to be the quarterback? Are they going to get a pass rusher? What's going to happen? Are they signing AJ Terrell? Are they re-signing Jeff Okudah? What is going to happen? Those are going to be the big questions. And so it'll be very interesting to see what happens against the Saints, the rivals. So if you guys have any thoughts on what you think is going to happen, leave it down in the comment section below. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, guys. Just want to give you guys a quick, just bi-week recap ski on what's happened and my thoughts on it moving forward. Falcons are in pressure time. Simple as that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are in a pressure-packed situation, and now we have to see how this team responds. So Desmond Ridder's QB1 for the rest of the way. Like I said, he's competing to potentially be QB1 next year, and also just to be on the roster as well. We'll have to see how everything goes, guys. But it's your boy, Bryce Lewis. See you next time.